Prime Minister Modi to deliver keynote address virtually at the high-level segment of United Nations Economic and Social Council session today. Session to focus on multilateralism after COVID-19, which resonates with India's Security Council priority of reformed multilateralism. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh arrives in Leh to visit Pangong So and address troops in Leh. Raksha Mantri to review preparedness of the forces. Two terrorists killed in the encounter with security forces in Kulgam in Jammu and Kashmir. Operation still underway. Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan to co-chair the second India-US Strategic Energy Partnership Ministerial Meeting along with US Secretary of Energy. Dialogue to be held through video conferencing. Flood and landslide situation continues to remain grim with over 97 people dead in Assam. Chief Minister takes stock of the situation in Kaziranga to assess damages caused by floods. The Indian Met Department forecasts intense rainfall over parts of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa. COVID recovery rate continues to improve across India and rises to over 63% with over 6.1 lakh recoveries. Active cases stand at 3.3 lakh with nearly 25,000 fatalities. And in sport, Real Madrid clinches 34th La Liga title to extend record. This is Real Madrid's first league title since 2016-17 season. Good morning. You're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. In the next half an hour, we'll get an account of everything that's been making it to the headlines. First, the top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver a keynote address at this year's high-level segment of the United Nations Economic and Social Council session on Friday at the United Nations in New York. Prime Minister will be speaking at the valedictory session along with Prime Minister of Norway and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The theme of this year's high-level segment is multilateralism after COVID-19. What kind of UN do we need at the 75th anniversary? Set against the changing international environment and the COVID-19 pandemic, this session will focus on critical forces shaping the course of multilateralism and explore ways to bolster the global agenda through strong leadership, effective international institutions, broadening of participation and enhanced significance of global public goods. Now, this will be the first opportunity for Prime Minister Modi to address the broader UN membership since India's overwhelming election as a non-permanent member of the Security Council on 17th of June for the term 2021-22. And our correspondent Amrit Pal is joining us to get us more on that. Amrit, this will be, we will see India participating after the overwhelming election of India as the non-permanent member at the Security Council on 17th of June. Now, the theme of this year's session will be on multilateralism after COVID-19. Let us know more about the theme and also how significant would be the address of the Prime Minister.
That's right, Preeti. You said that the theme is a reformed UN, especially in the wake in the post-COVID era, and as UN completes 75 years, and this resonates with India's priority for its Security Council tenure, in which Delhi has called for a reformed multilateralism in the institution. This is not a new stance. India has always been advocating that the international institutions like the UN Security Council or the Bretton Woods institutions like the IMF, World Bank, etc., need to be reflective of present-day realities. These are institutions which came up post the World War II and continue to reflect the realities of that era, but they need a reform which is more equitable, fair, and representative of a new emerging world order, of which other players like India, players from the developing world have wider voices, be it in major affairs of the world, say climate change, and now in the COVID era, we saw the role countries like India have played, both at the level of containing the pandemic, sharing information about it, being open, being open to pharmaceutical interventions, developing of vaccines with international support and collaboration, sharing their expertise and also their best practices, plus coming up to the help of the world, like giving out hydroxychloroquine right to developed countries like the United States, to other medical equipment to other countries in the neighborhood of India. So in a much changed world, especially in the post-COVID era, what should be the shape of the UN when the Prime Minister of India speaks, and a country which has is representative of a significant part of the world population? The world, I think, would listen very, very carefully as to what is the viewpoint he has to express this evening.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent Amrit spelling out the importance of Prime Minister's address when he speaks at the United Nations Economic and Social Council session today evening. We'll keep you updated. Let's get to other important news we're tracking this hour. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is visiting forward areas of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh today. Army Chief General M.M. Narvane is accompanying Raksha Mantri. During his visit, Raksha Mantri will review the security situation in eastern Ladakh. Rajnath Singh will be visiting Pangong Tso in Ladakh today, where he will address the troops. He will also witness the preparedness of the forces and demonstration of coordination between Army and the Air Force. This is Raksha Mantri's first visit to Leh Ladakh after the standoff between India and China in the region. And in news just coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists have been gunned down in an encounter with security forces in Kulgam. The encounter started between terrorists and security forces at Nagnad Chimer area of Kulgam in South Kashmir this morning. The state forces launched a cordon and search operation in Nagnad Chimer area in Kulgam after receiving specific information about the presence of terrorists there. The search operation turned into an encounter after the terrorists opened fire at a search party. The operation is still underway and further details are awaited. Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan will co-chair the second India-US Strategic Energy Partnership Ministerial meeting along with US Secretary of Energy as the two nations seek to bolster energy cooperation. The meeting was originally scheduled to be held in Washington in April this year but got postponed due to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. The dialogue will now be held through video conferencing today. As a run-up to the dialogue, both the leaders participated in an industry event on Wednesday where Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan invited the US companies and investors to engage and invest in India in the new opportunities. The Strategic Energy Partnership has 4 primary pillars of cooperation, that is oil and gas, power and energy efficiency, renewable energy and sustainable growth. Cooperation in natural gas sector has been identified as a priority area between India and the US. India is expecting investment of over $118 billion in oil and gas exploration, as well as in setting up natural gas infrastructure, including development of gas supply and distribution networks in the next 5 years. The Government of India in February 2018 had elevated the India-US Energy Dialogue to a strategic energy partnership to be co-chaired by Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. The US side is co-chaired by US Secretary of Energy. The partnership was formally announced during the visit of Honorable Prime Minister of India to the US in June 2017, and the first ministerial meeting was held in New Delhi in April 2018. Pakistan has once again not kept its word and failed to provide India unimpeded, unhindered and unconditional consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. During the past year, India has requested Pakistan more than 12 times to provide consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. After extensive discussions, Pakistan side conveyed that they were ready to organize consular access on 16th of July. India was assured that this access would be unimpeded, unhindered and unconditional. Two consular officers of the High Commission proceeded to the meeting with Jadhav. Regrettably, however, neither the environment nor the arrangements of the meeting were in accordance with the assurances of Pakistan. MEA in a statement said, and I quoted, the consular officers were not given unimpeded, unhindered and unconditional access to Sri Jadhav. On the contrary, Pakistani officials with an intimidating demeanor were present in close proximity of Sri Jadhav and consular officers despite the protest of the Indian side. It was also evident from a camera that was visible that the conversation with Sri Jadhav was being recorded. Sri Jadhav himself was visibly under stress and indicated that clearly to the consular officers. The arrangements did not permit a free conversation between them. The consular officers could not engage Sri Jadhav on his legal rights and were prevented from obtaining his written consent for arranging his legal representation. In the light of these circumstances, the Indian consular officers came to the conclusion that the consular access being offered by Pakistan was neither meaningful nor credible. After lodging a protest, they left the venue, and we reiterate our commitment to ensure the safe return of Sri Jadhav to India and will decide on a future course of action in the light of the events today. India strongly protested against construction of the Amir Basha Dam to Pakistan government. It will lead to submergence of large part of the land of Indian Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The MEA spokesperson said that India condemns the attempt by Pakistan to bring about material changes in Indian territories under its illegal occupation. India has also consistently conveyed our protest and shared concerns with both China and Pakistan on all such projects in the Indian territories under Pakistan's illegal occupation, where it has no locus standi.
The entire Union Territory of J&K and the Union Territory of Ladakh have been, are and will be an integral and inalienable part of India. We have strongly protested against the construction of this dam to the government of Pakistan. This dam will lead to submergence of a large part of land of the Indian Union Territories of J&K and Ladakh. And we condemn the continuous attempts by Pakistan to bring about material changes in Indian territories under its illegal occupation. We have also consistently conveyed our protest and shared concerns with both China and Pakistan on all such projects in the Indian territories under Pakistan's illegal occupation, where it has no locus standi.
India has established bilateral air bubbles with France and the United States. Airlines of each country will operate international flights between these routes. Air France will operate 28 flights between Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru and Paris from July 18 to August 1st. And American carrier United Airlines will be flying 18 flights between India and the US from July 17 to July 31st. Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri told media that similar arrangements with Germany and the United Kingdom are also being worked out.
We are at a very advanced stage of negotiation with at least 3 countries that I am aware of. And in the case of one, we have signed formally. Let me tell you, Air France will be operating 28 flights on the Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore sector and France, I think Paris, between 18th July to 1st August. Then in another case with the United States, we have an agreement for United to operate 18 flights between India and the US between 17 and 31st. But this is an interim one. We have a request from the Germans also. I think Lufthansa is almost done.
As far as privatization of Air India is concerned, the centre has once again assured that the interest of all employees will be kept in mind whenever the decision is taken.
The question was, are you persisting with privatization? We don't have a choice. We have to. And I always say that Air India, when it is ready for privatization, it is a very attractive thing, but it will be done keeping in full view the interests of all those who have served.
All right, these are the visuals we're getting for you from Ladakh. As we told you, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh is visiting forward areas of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh today. And here we have the demonstrations which are being conducted to show the collaborated efforts of the Air Force and the Indian Army. These are the visuals we're getting for you from Leh, and Raksha Mantri, as we told you, will review the security situation in eastern Ladakh. Remember, this is the visit of the Raksha Mantri that comes approximately around 15 days after the Prime Minister visited eastern Ladakh. And the Defence Minister will also be visiting Pangong So in Ladakh, where he will address the troops after this demonstration. These are the live visuals we're getting for you from Leh. Raksha Mantri is accompanied by Army Chief General M.M. Narvane, and this is Raksha Mantri's first visit to Leh Ladakh after the standoff between India and China in the region. We also know that this visit comes in the backdrop of the marathon talks, almost of 15 hours, which took place between the corps commanders on the second phase of disengagement on the 14th of this month at Chushul. Ramesh, our correspondent, is joining us to get us more on that. Ramesh, we are showing the visuals of the demonstration which is being shown to the Defence Minister, talking of collaborated efforts between the Army and the Air Force. You let us know more. We tell our viewers that Rajnath Singh's visit is the first visit which he is conducting in Leh Ladakh after the standoff between India and China. Added to this, Prime Minister also 15 days back conducted a visit in Leh Ladakh. Let us know more. How crucial is this visit?
Yeah, Priti, this is very crucial visit of Raksha Mantri for Rajnath Singh today to Eastern Ladakh region, and he is just arriving at a venue near Leh, and he just took off from the airport, Leh airport, and is now landing at Rambirpur, where he will be given a demonstration of coordination between Indian Army and Air Force. And Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh will witness the preparedness of Army and Air Force coordination. This is a routine presentation of their coordination on a given situation.
All right, Ramesh, we've seen the Prime Minister also visited Eastern Ladakh, and today we have the Defence Minister.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Ramesh,
Hello.
if I'm audible,
Yeah.
let us. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We also saw Prime Minister visit Eastern Ladakh 15 days back, and we also have Defence Minister visiting Ladakh today. Let us know more as to how far and to what extent do these visits help in boosting up the morale of the soldiers, of the forces who are stationed at such difficult terrains, at such difficult locations, and also given the severity or the gravity of the situation, talk more about how important is this visit in boosting the morale of the security forces.
Definitely, this Ladakh, Eastern Ladakh, especially the high altitude at 15,000 square feet above the sea mean level, and people, whoever is living, are at low level oxygen levels, and very tough terrain, climatic conditions also different here. And in such circumstances, Army is safeguarding India's territory here, and forward posts especially, and totally inhabitable situations. And this definitely will visits by Prime Minister or the Defence Minister will definitely boost the morale of armed forces who are working in very toughest conditions in Ladakh region. Now, Rajnath Singh is just about to land here at Rambirpur state, and he will be witnessing the coordination between Indian Air Force and Indian Army here at Rambirpur grounds.
Right, so he's witnessing the demonstration there. At this point, I'll bring in our correspondent Nandita Dagar, who will get us more details on this. Nandita, now we see this visit of the Defence Minister happening at the backdrop of the talks between corps commanders on the second phase of disengagement on the 14th of this month, which happened at Chushul. Now, time and again, India has vehemently said in stern words that India will reply back to any misadventure on its borders. Talk more about it. What message does this visit of the Defence Minister give? Added to that, also we saw Prime Minister visit Eastern Ladakh 15 days back. So put all this together, how important is the day there in Ladakh today?
Good morning, Preeti, and thank you. On 3rd of July, the Prime Minister had made an unannounced and a surprise visit to the troops, not just in Leh but in Nimu also. He had interacted with the ITBP, Indian Army, Indian Air Force personnel. Now that visit and this visit, and much like the earlier high-profile visits of high-ranking dignitaries, for example, the Army Chief, who had visited on 23rd and 24th of June, then the Air Force Chief, who had made a surprise and a very unannounced hush-hush visit, Air Chief Marshal R.K. Bhadauria, and the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister's visit, Mr. Rajnath Singh's visit to Leh and to the forward areas here in Ladakh is significant because it sends a message and is symbolic to three constituencies. First, it is of course directly addressing the troops. It raises their morale that we who have been stationed in this inhospitable, low oxygen, high altitude terrain, we are fighting for a country. What we have left, what the people behind, the people of the country are behind us, and they are fully supportive of our actions. That is why it is important for the government machinery and Mr. Rajnath Singh, and as the Prime Minister had done earlier on 3rd of July, to show solidarity with the troops. Secondly, Preeti, he is sending a message to the enemy that although we are engaging in talks, 4 level of corps commander talks have taken place, and of course the diplomatic through diplomatic channels and special representatives on the working boundary on the boundary consultations. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and from the Chinese side.
Yes, even as we speak here, we see Defence Minister Rajnath Singh arrive, and soon he will be witnessing the demonstration of coordinated efforts between Indian Air Force and the Indian Army. This is DD exclusive we're getting for you from Leh, and here we have a Defence Minister's visit, which comes even as the second phase of talks of disengagement continue between India and China. Yes, Nandita, please continue.
Yes, Preeti, as I was saying, the first message is to the frontline troops who are deployed in this high altitude terrain that you are not alone and the nation stands in solidarity with you. Number 2, he is sending a message just like the Prime Minister did on 3rd of July and the Army Chief and Air Force Chief before that in June. He's sending a message that the enemy also, India is engaging in talks, military to military talks. 4 rounds have already happened between corps commanders and diplomats via diplomatic channels. India also can exercise the option of using force if the enemy engages in any misadventure, just like they did on 15th of June when 20 of our soldiers were martyred and the trickery and treachery of the Chinese came to light. Number 3 is he sending a message to the entire nation that even a centimeter of Indian territory will not be ceded to the enemy or to the intruders or to the enemy, because there is a heavy build-up, and not just by the army but the Air Force. So although talks are going on which signals that India wants to resolve the matter peacefully, but if push comes to shove, India means business, and the Defence Minister's visit over there signifies that. Also, Preeti, let us understand that Pangongso, the 4 rounds of corps commanders talks which have already been held, basically focused on disengagement, and that was also time-bound, phased in a phased manner, step by step, which had to be verified by the Indians. now since you cannot trust the Chinese at face value anymore, and because the Chinese the word does not matter, it has to be verified on the ground for it to be credible. And that is why the Indian Army is through unmanned aerial vehicles, which we in common man's language called drones, or through ground patrolling, is checking the thinning out of or the disengagement pullback of the Chinese troops. This has happened in Gogra, Hot Springs and Galwan River Valley. The Galwan is of course that infamous incident of 14 June at Patrol Point 14. Over there, these 3 points the disengagement has happened. Now 14th July Corps Commander talks were very tricky in the sense that they were the most arduous talks, because Pangongso is a place where Indian and Chinese army troops are not face to face, but from finger 4 to finger 8, which India claims is territory and China also claims since 1962 its territory. The Chinese have built up heavy vehicles, armored trucks, as well as troops and tents, semi-permanent structures. So these have to be disengaged. The talks, by all accounts that we have been told by our sources, were constructive and candid. Also, they went they stretched into the wee hours of the morning. For example, they lasted for more than 15 hours, and they were the longest so far, longest Corps Commander talks in this standoff. So, Defense Minister's visit here in Ladakh actually shows solidarity with the troops and with of the 14 Corps, which is headquartered in Leh, and all along the eastern Ladakh, the soldiers who are deployed from the Depsang Plains to Galwan Valley, to Hot Springs, to Gogra, to southeastern Ladakh, which is
all right, Nandita. At this point, we'll bring in our correspondent Amritpal Singh. Amrit, now this visit comes at a time when we see both the sides engaged in talks for second phase of disengagement, but we saw how Chinese misadventure led to lessening of the trust between the two sides. Now that we saw Prime Minister visit Ladakh some days back, around 2 weeks back, and now we have Defense Minister also in Ladakh for his first visit after India-China standoff. What message does it send across?
Well, the message is very clear, Preeti, that militarily India is not letting its guard down. The Indian forces are deployed in adequate strength, both the Army and the Air Force, to respond to any kind of misadventurism or transgression by the Chinese PLA of the kind that we've seen in the past. The message has been very clear. The messaging has been consistent and clear to the Chinese that militarily, if pushed against the wall or the sovereignty or territorial integrity of India comes into question, the forces would take a tough posture and react accordingly with full military force if so required. But also, India would want the issue to be resolved through talks, and would want the PLA to restore status quo ante that was there in April before things escalated. And especially at Pangongso, now that it has happened at PP14 in Gogra and Hot Springs, the focus now clearly is on Pangongso, and the latest round of the commander level, the senior commander level, Corps Commander level talks was to basically hammer out a consensus on easing the tensions in the finger area near the Pangongso and the Depsang Plains, and pulling back of the weapons, equipment, troops from the friction points in other sectors as well. So I think today's visit, this 2-day visit of the Defense Minister while would be a morale boosting exercise for the forces, what would be a review preparedness exercise for the higher echelons of the defense establishment of the country, but also would it be sending a message that look to China and to the world that while India would want these talks to hammer out a consensus and both the armies pull back and maintain, in the interest of maintenance of peace, calm and tranquility on the border, but India in no way is letting its military guard down.
All right, Amrit, our correspondent Ramesh Chandra is joining us from Leh. Ramesh, we see Defense Minister present for the demonstration. the demonstration on the coordinated efforts of Air Force and Army. Let us know more about this joint exercise between the Air Force and the Army.
Yeah, just now Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has arrived at the venue, and now the signal has begun for the demonstration. And this demonstration is basically how coordinated these forces are on the ground. The forces of Indian Air Force and Indian Army, how they are coordinating with each other on a given situation, how well prepared they are to support each other and to complement each other on a given situation. This is a scene that is been created here to test their coordination and preparedness, how well they are and how precise they are in if a situation is given here at a war situation like. Now, in a few moments, I think we will be receiving Indian Army's paratroopers shortly, and you can see now the already paratroopers are taken off from aircraft, and they are landing here at the given place, designated place here where smoke was given. They will come and land here at the place where the smoke is given now. You could see the visuals how paratroopers can be injected at a given situation and enemy territory, and they can get the job done for the Indian Army or Indian people. You can see in the background backdrop of blue sky and white clouds, the paratroopers are about to land in Rambirpur paratrooping lands.
All right, Ramesh, yes, we can see that in the visuals. Now, when we talk of how important this visit is, definitely it would boost up the morale of the forces, of the soldiers, our forces who are stationed at the LAC. I would want you to also get us more and tell us more about the topographical details of the area where the clashes took place, because we tell our viewers that this is indeed a very difficult terrain for the forces to survive on, and also Pangong Tso and Depsang Plains and also the Fingal area. Let us know more about these areas.
Yeah, this Leh Ladakh region is at an high altitude of 15,000 feet from mean sea level. And this region is, by all means, it is the toughest terrain for both on climatic conditions and terrain conditions also. Now you can see how the sharp mountains are there in the foreground of your screen, and this is for 6 months you experience very cold conditions which falls into minus 20 and minus 30, and at places like Siachen it goes even minus 50s. And such climatic conditions, Army and Air Force, they are on 24 hours whistle about securing Indian territory and Indian borders in the region. We have a vast line of axial control where it is difficult even to reach on normal conditions. In such conditions, Army is 24 hours guarding the border lines here in Eastern Ladakh region, especially where now certain friction is happening and stand-up is happening. Now you can see how paratroopers are now about to land just at the designated place and at the marked place on the foreground. You can see how paratroopers of Indian Army are landing here. And we were talking about the climatic conditions.
Yes.
In such minus conditions, minus temperature conditions, where you have 30 to 40% less oxygen available for you, and you have more energy to, you need to have more energy to move even further. In such difficult situations, Army has to take the full weight of at least 25 to 50 kilos, depending on the situation and depending on the requirement. They have to carry that, and all that only is possible just when you have the commitment for the and love for the country.
Yes, so here we see the paratroopers land and for
Hello. Hello. Hello.
yes, Ramesh, do stay with us. And Defense Minister is in Ladakh, and he will be, he is reviewing the preparedness of our security forces at the LAC. And this visit comes after Prime Minister visited Eastern Ladakh some 2 weeks back, and here we have Defense Minister in his first visit. As his first visit, we have Defense Minister here. He is also accompanied by Army Chief General M. Narvane and Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat. And also, as we speak, we are seeing that Defense Minister is witnessing the joint exercise between Indian Air Force and the Army. And also after this, he will address the troops as well who are stationed at the LAC. Now, Ramesh, you were talking of the terrain and the tough climatic conditions in the area. When we're talking of these joint exercises, let us know more as to how important are these exercises when it comes to important and crucial times.
Yeah, these are the exercises which gives you gives the support to the army soldiers who and paramilitary forces who are at the forward posts, which are very far from the normal the supporting points from mainland. So these like paratroopers or the helicopters are these operated by the Indian Air Force and supported to support the ground forces of Indian Army or paramilitary. This coordination has to be very precise, and you have to communicate things very accurately so that you will get the support on ground at required point in time. And this is one of the demonstrations that when you need some equipment or some equipment like arms ammunition, you have to opt for this to send immediately quick mode to the ground forces. This will give them a support, and this will enhance their capability to safeguard the Indian territory at the forward post.
All right, Ramesh, also when we talk of the day ahead of the Defense Minister in Eastern Ladakh, we tell our viewers that he will also address the troops who are stationed there at the LAC. Tell us more about the program ahead of the Defense Minister in Eastern Ladakh.
Hello.
Yes, Ramesh, if I'm audible, let us know more details about the day ahead of the Defense Minister in Eastern Ladakh.
Yeah, after this demonstration, which now has started 5 minutes ago, this will go for another around half an hour time, where you will see slithering, and now paratrooping is almost concluded, and last paratrooper is about to land at Ranbirpur paratrooping area. And once this is done, the slithering of from helicopters as the same exercise like to inject the arm and ammunition and men to required ground forces. After this, there will be a demonstration of how the communication systems work between the ground forces and how they can go and attack the enemy installations and enemy command centers. We can see on the ground enemy command center, which now I think I'll ask my cameraman Sudhirji to show the command center, which is kept for demonstration. This we'll see how from various corners they can attack time with precise movements. by the armed forces. This is going to be happen now, and after that there will be demonstration of tanks. This terrain which you see is almost similar like the borders on the eastern Ladakh region. This terrain depicts how the actual terrain looks like on the forward post. So you will see how the tanks will move and how what are all the difficulties, conditions, and how fastly they can reach to the forward areas and can attack the enemy installations or enemy.
All right, even as we
forces
speak,
there.
we see Defence Minister Rajnath Singh as the man of the action, rather man in the action himself.
Yeah.
And here we have
Yeah.
Defence Minister taking stock of
Yeah.
the preparedness at the LAC in Eastern Ladakh. This is Defence Minister's first visit post India-China standoff in Eastern Ladakh, and here we also have Army Chief General M.M. Narvane and also Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and other senior officials. The Defence Minister is witnessing the joint exercise between the Army and the Air Force. We are joined in by our correspondent Ramesh, who has spelled out the importance of these joint exercises and how important and crucial these exercises are in difficult times. Now, Ramesh, when we talk of disengagement between the two sides, we saw that the second phase of disengagement is still in progress between India and China, and we also learned that the disengagement has to be verified on each side. Now, let us know more about the current situation when we talk of the disengagement that is happening at the LAC.
After day before yesterday's meeting, which went almost 15 hours are over, the main focus was on the Finger Fort, where the Pangong Tso Finger Fort, where Indian Army has categorically asked to vacate everything, all installations, all temporary establishments, whatever was erected by the PLA. This has to be done in a time-bound manner, and this has to be verified by both the sides of PLA and Indian Army. This is one area where right now, after this demonstration, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be going, and now you can see Apache on screen, which is another latest arm in Indian Air Force, which is taken from USA, and this can support air-to-air attacks and air-to-ground support also. This is the more latest attack assault chopper which Indian Air Force has. And when we talk about the disengagement, this Defence Minister right now, after this event, will be going to Pangong Tso, and where at Lukung Post, which is a forward area post, he will be addressing the forces and paramilitary forces there, and which is just juxtaposed to the Finger Fort, where you can see with naked eye what is going on the other side of the Pangong Tso. This is one contentional area where the day before yesterday's talks focused on. The other area is Depsang Plains, which is at the forward area on slightly western side to Pangong Tso, which is also very strategical post for Indian side, and is asking PLA has to vacate that area as well. So these are all the two contentional areas where day before yesterday's talks were focused on, and Defence Minister will be on the ground at the ground zero, and will see what is exactly happening and what conditions, in what condition Army people are working, and how they are safeguarding the Indian territory at Pangong Tso or other places in Eastern Ladakh region.
All right, you're telling us, Ramesh, that the Defence Minister will take stock of the disengagement, and also we in this joint exercise we see the expertise of both the Army and the Indian force, at display. Let us know more as to this also shows, in fact, the military might of the country when we talk of preparedness, when we talk of, reacting and to the crisis situation. So these kinds of demonstrations, these types of exercises, not only on one hand show the military might of the country, but also at the same time also give a strong message to the rest of the world how well prepared we are, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. See, as I was a while ago was referring, Prime Minister clearly said only weaker people will bet and a stronger person will propose the peace. So we are at stronger position, and we have this might and we have the strength and we have the commitment to protect our territory if somebody tries to take any advantage of this. So this is one such exercise where we can show ourselves, we can show our country, and we can show our country people, and at the same time we can show the enemy also how strong we are and how coordinated we are, and how this one of the biggest army in the world can do what all they can do. So this definitely sends a strong signal to enemy not to do any adventure with India and go by the peace. It has to be reinstated at the Eastern Ladakh region.
All right, talking again of these demonstrations, Ramesh, let us know more details about the weaponry or the aircrafts which are being used in this demonstration.
You can see the choppers where army people are delivering their choppers to ground at designated places. You may be seen more dust actually rising here due to chopper place. But at the same time, in the sky, you can see the latest chopper which is acquired from USA, the Apache. You can see the way these Apaches are the latest assault choppers, which can give missile attack, gun attack, and air-to-air attack and air-to-surface attack. These are all the latest modern technologies which we have with Indian Air Force and in chopper segment. And these can give nightmares to any enemy at any point in time. And these are all our strengths. And we have another globe master in chopper section, the Chinook, which can transport over 50, 60 armed persons at any given point in time in high altitude places like this in Eastern Ladakh region. This is the which we are seeing is Air Force, the might of Air Force, which we could see here in the skies of Ladakh region here. And at the same time, after a while now, we can see moving of ground forces where they are in a coordinated manner. They are moving towards a command center where they'll go for an attack, and they'll see how they can attack any enemy establishment or any enemy command center, which is nerve center for their movement, and they can go and start precisely and get back to safer position. You can see now on the screen how forces are moving on the four corners of command center, which is depicted here in Ranbirpur ground.
Yes, Ramesh, this is the demonstration which we are witnessing, and also Defence Minister Rajnath Singh during his first visit to Eastern Ladakh after the India-China standoff. At present, our correspondent Amrit Pal is joining us. Amrit, now we see in line with this visit, we've seen how vehemently, in strong words, Prime Minister talked of how India will never bow down to any power. Added to this, now after this standoff between the two countries, we see there, somewhere the trust factor has got hampered between the two countries. But at the same time, we've seen disengagement happen. We've seen both the sides on the talking table and trying to find a solution. So there is optimism and positivity as well. So where do we stand when we talk of the relationship between the two countries, and how do we move forward from here on?
Well, the two countries in principle agree that differences should not be allowed to become disputes. This has been agreed at the highest level, at the highest political level between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi, both at Wuhan and later at Mamallapuram, and reflects in the Mamallapuram, with the Wuhan spirit in the Mamallapuram document. But what we saw by the PLA in the past few months is clearly expansionism and military expansionism, which of course would have some sort of, if not overt, but overt political backing to it. And given that situation, India has very clearly told the Chinese, and as the Prime Minister also said when he went to Leh, that the era of expansionism is over. If China thinks that it can get into geographical expansionism by military might, India reserves the right to respond to it with its own military might. And the kind of demonstration that you're seeing today in the presence of the Defense Minister and the Army Chief and the CDS is basically that. These are the optics of what you're seeing. The optics is signaling to the enemy/adversary, which in military terms means China in the present state, or specifically the People's Liberation Army, that the Indian military might to take on the adversary is at its highest operational alert levels, and India will adopt a tough posture when it comes to guarding its borders, its territorial integrity, its sovereignty. And the political leadership from the Prime Minister, now the Defense Minister visiting that. So there is a messaging and signaling is very clear that India is firm, would be firm when it comes to dealing with any sort of military transgression or aggression. As far as the talks go, the two countries have been engaged in talks at various levels. At the political level, when the SR spoke, NSA Doval and Foreign Minister and State Councillor Wang Yi, when the two foreign ministers spoke over the phone, the WMCC's 2 rounds have happened, core commander level talks have happened, hotline talks happened daily. So at the military, diplomatic and political level, including invoking the institutionalized mechanisms of WMCC and the SR level talks. So clearly India has signaled to China it would want to diffuse the situation, it would want disengagement and a complete disengagement at that, and restoration of the status quo ante to the position that it was in April this year. India would want this to happen through talks in a peaceful and cordial atmosphere, in a step-by-step and a verifiable manner. But having said that, the military guard is in no way down, because as you know, you get diplomatic heft only when you have military strength on the ground. Preeti?
All right, Amrit, that was one part of it. Now, also we've seen India has raised its concern over China's investments in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, as we see that India has voiced objection to the Daimir Basha multi-purpose dam. Also, what do you make of the, how are events evolving on that side? How do you read the unfolding of the events?
So the MEA reacted by saying that the dam, the construction of dam and altering of the territorial or physical realities in the territory, which is Indian territory, but in illegal occupation of Pakistan, referring to the building of that dam in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, clearly taking objection to it. And India has time and again taken objection to, say, the CPEC, the BRI, saying that these are projects which affect the territory and violate the territorial integrity of India because they pass through illegally occupied Indian territory, and you are altering the status quo, you're altering the physical conditions there, and India will oppose this tooth and nail at every fora. And the statement or the reaction by the Ministry of External Affairs yesterday to the building of the dam is keeping in line with the consistent reaction or opposition of India to, as I said, the CPEC projects,
Yes.
the BRI initiative, which India has not joined and has opposed completely. So that is in line with that. Preeti?
All right, Amrit, thank you for joining us with those concludes his visit in eastern Ladakh. He will head towards Srinagar for talks with the Lieutenant General there, the Lieutenant Governor there, also to assess the situation at the LOC. At present, we see Defence Minister
अभी मूवमेंट दिखाना
at eastern Ladakh, and Ramesh, our correspondent, is present there. Ramesh, we see that the demonstration has ended. Let us know what next is up the agenda for the Defence Minister in eastern Ladakh.
Yeah, now the demonstration here at Rambirpur is over now. Now Defence Minister is about to take off for Lukung, where he'll be reaching to Pangangsu, where he'll be addressing the armed forces and paramilitary forces at Lukung Post, which is the forward post in the eastern Ladakh region, and which is just opposite to the one of the friction points right now in discussion, that is Singapore at Pangangsu. From any moment from now, Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, will be leaving for Lukung from Leh.
All right, Lukung is a combined post where the Indian Army and the Indo-Tibetan Border Police are stationed. Ramesh, in a while from now, we will see Defence Minister address the troops and the soldiers, the forces who are stationed at the LSE. Very quickly, for the knowledge of our viewers who joined us late, give us a gist of the demonstration which we just witnessed.
See, this demonstration which was witnessed by the Defence Minister and CDS Bipin Rawat, General Bipin Rawat, and Chief of Army Staff M.M. Naravane, this is the coordination and the communications between the Indian Air Force and Indian Army at any given situation, how well coordinated and well-oiled machinery that works in a country's defense and to support the ground staff at forward post. Now we have witnessed here at Rambirpur in Leh the paratrooping of how the paratroopers can be injected in enemy territory in when requirement is arises, and how they can go and do the job done for the country. And the other thing we have seen is the slithering, where we need not to remind how Army can go and do the job in places in occupied Kashmir. We have seen in a couple of years ago. These are all the techniques which Indian Army and Air Force or Navy, for that matter, this is the coordinated effort only now can secure the country sovereignty. This is how they practice this coordination at time to time to test their preparedness and to test their communications, how communications reach to each other and each other forces, because these three are different forces and three are different languages, but the commitment is same: protect the country at any cost. And for that, they can do any heroics and any adventures like we have seen here, paratrooping from such a height, and they drop at precisely at the given place, and this is how the coordinated efforts of tri-forces protect the country. Now Rajnath Singh ji is leaving for Lukung. He's leaving the venue at Ranbirpur now, and he'll be taking chopper from at the place where he landed here.
Yes,
he'll
and
take
at
off
Lukung, the
yeah.
defense minister will address the troops, the soldiers stationed there. Here we see him leave the venue after witnessing the demonstration, the joint demonstration, collaborated and coordinated demonstration between the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army in Eastern Ladakh. This is Defence Minister's first visit to Eastern Ladakh after India-China standoff, and also we saw Prime Minister visited Eastern Ladakh some 2 weeks back, and that also was indeed a morale booster for the forces who were stationed in these difficult, prohibiting climatic conditions, in these climatic conditions, who are stationed at the LAC. And also we saw the Prime Minister in clear, stern words vehemently saying that India will reply back to any misadventure by any country, and this is not the era of military expansionism, I beg your pardon. And from here, the defense minister is headed towards Lukung, and there he will address the troops who are stationed at the post along the LAC. Also, after the defense minister concludes his visit from Eastern Ladakh, he will be heading towards Jammu and Kashmir, where he will also take stock of the preparedness at the LOC. And he will be also holding discussions and interactions with the LG in Jammu and Kashmir. So that was the gist of the defense minister's visit till now in Eastern Ladakh. And as we told you, this is the first visit of the defense minister to Eastern Ladakh after the standoff between India and China. But at the same time, we also tell you that this visit comes in the backdrop of the marathon talks, almost of 15 hours, which happened between both the sides, talking of and materializing the second phase of disengagement, which is happening at the LAC. And these talks were held on the 14th of this month at Chushul. And put all these things together, defense minister's visit is indeed crucial. And we also had our reporters joining us from Eastern Ladakh, and also our correspondent covering external affairs, both spelling out the importance and the significance of this visit. So as of now, that's it in this edition of the news. We'll keep track of the ongoings there. And all right, before we leave, we'll get to these visuals coming in again from Eastern Ladakh. We have Defense Minister Rajnath Singh in Eastern Ladakh, and our correspondent Ramesh is also there. Ramesh, let us know more about what we are seeing on our screens right now.
Yeah, Defense Minister, before he is leaving for Lukung, again he unscheduledly stopped himself, and he could not resist himself to stop at the tankers, and he is interacting with the tanker troops, and you can see on screen how they have enthused. This is what actually the visit makes difference in armed forces at the forward post. So how quickly they are reaching to the minister, and this is how they get motivated when they see the minister, the political leaders, how they are encouraging and how they are standing, and behind them how the entire country is standing with the army people at the toughest terrain conditions and climatic conditions when they are serving the
Yes,
country.
indeed. This is what the Prime Minister also said, how the entire nation is thankful for the services of our armed forces who are stationed at different borders and are protecting our country, are protecting the common people and the sovereignty of the country. Now, you're talking of the morale booster, Ramesh. Definitely, it indeed is for the soldiers who are away from their families, who are giving out their services at such tough terrains, difficult climatic conditions, and also you also spoke of how difficult the areas are when we talk of the topographical details of the areas where these troops are stationed. And at present, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on his way to Lukung Post, where he will address the soldiers who are stationed there. He will address the troops there. Just a while back, before leaving for Lukung, here we had him have the group photograph, the photo op happening with the troops, where the joint exercise between the army and the Indian force happened. At present, or rather in a short while from now, the defense minister will reach Lukung post, and there he will address the soldiers. We'll keep you updated. As of now, that's it in this edition of the News This Hour. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.